Hello everybody and happy holidays. As you can see, it is that time of year and I'm very ready. In this Christmas vlog, I'm going to be reading In a Holidays by Christina Lauren. Fun fact for anybody that likes Christina Lauren, this is not one person, this is two authors. It's Christina Hobbs and Lauren Billings, and they write together and they go by Christina Lauren. So I just think that that's something fun to point out if you've read Unhoneymooners or Paradise Problem or this book. I have read Unhoneymooners and it's one of my favorite books I've ever read, so I'm very excited to read a second book by them, and this is their Christmas themed book. I feel like the best way to describe this book is like if Groundhog Day and The Summer I Turned Pretty had a baby. So we're basically following a female main character named Malin, and she's kind of just lost and unhappy in life in terms of work and relationships and like who she is as a person. But the one thing that she always has to hold on to is the little cabin trip that she takes with her family every Christmas. And they share this cabin with a few other different family friends. One of the family friends that's there is a husband and a wife and then their two sons, and Malin sort of has a love triangle with both of those sons. But they get some bad news one year at one of the Christmas trips where the book starts, and on her way leaving the cabin, she's really heartbroken over the news that they got, and then something happens and she basically wakes up and the whole trip has restarted from the beginning. So she's like leaving to go on the trip and she's like, wait, I've already lived this before. And basically she's in a time loop and it just keeps restarting over and over and over again. I'm assuming like until she like gets it right. But it is a love triangle. It is a Groundhog Day type time loop, which I love books and movies like that. One of my all-time favorite movies is Palm Springs, which is a time loop style movie, so I'm super excited to get into this. This book is 304 pages, so it's not super long, and I do plan on finishing it soon. I'm finally in a more chill period with school where I am entering Christmas break, so I just have a little bit of finals this week, and then I am off until January, which is a much needed reprieve that I need. So I'm excited for this vacation, and I do plan on getting a good amount of reading done today and throughout the rest of the week. I was really excited to start this. So the other day when I had a little bit of downtime, I read only 26 pages. So I read like 1.5 chapters just to kind of be introduced to it. One of the things that's hard for me when I read is I have to really picture every character very specifically before I can be fully entranced by the story. So I spend a good majority of my time when I first start a book just like literally going on Pinterest and doing like character inspiration in the search bar and just kind of seeing like, oh, like this actress is how I would picture this main girl, or like this person who's like an artist sketch of a character is how I would kind of picture this, you know, fantasy character or whatever it might be. But for this book, I was like, I kind of want to picture two people that actually look like they could be brothers, since the brothers are very integral to the plot. And I saw this TikTok and it was literally an edit of the guy from the Hannah Montana movie and then also the one brother from Supernatural. People were saying how they actually look kind of alike and how they should play brothers in something one day. And I was watching this edit and I was like, wait. I was like, yeah, this will work for me. So that's kind of how I pictured the two brothers in this. And hate me if you want, but I'm a big Mikey Madison fan, so I kind of picture Malin, the main girl, in that type of way. But not that it matters, you can literally picture the characters however you want. I'm just very detail oriented when I read, and I want to like really see what they look like in my head and like picture the setting perfectly. I think it's because I'm a big movie person, so when I read it's kind of like I'm watching a movie, but more of like a hallucination in my head, which that might be something that I need to unpack. But anyway, this is a library loan, so I will be trying to read it fairly quickly so that way I can return it. And yeah, let's get started. Okay, am I on the heating pad while I read? Yes. You would be too if you had back pain, your period, and this to solve all your problems. Oh, it's like a warm hug. Anyway, just doing a mid-read check-in. I am on page 215 right now, chapter 21. I'm almost done. I only have like 75 pages left or 85 pages left. I can't count. I'm a law major, so I don't have to. But I am really liking this. I genuinely don't know how it's gonna end. Like, I feel like with some time loop plots, I can kind of figure out like, okay, this is what it's gonna take for the person to get out of the time loop, but I don't know. I feel like it could be a couple different scenarios. And ultimately, I know that this girl's whole day is gonna restart at some point, and like all the things that have happened are gonna be forgotten because she's the only one that remembers she's in the time loop, and I'm just like, it's gonna be sad, and I just like, I don't want this to keep happening for her. So I'm starting to get emotionally attached to her and the characters. I will say the only con that I have with the book so far is just some of the dialogue is a little bit cringy at times, but I'm starting to, like I said, feel fondly of the characters, so I feel like I can look past some of that cringiness and just, it's a book, like it's cute, it's funny. And I am really enjoying how steamy this is. Like, it hasn't necessarily been super spicy, like maybe medium spice, but it's really steamy and there's a lot of yearning and it's pretty delightful. Another thing that I am really also enjoying is the dialogue and kind of like imagery of nostalgia, and how when you are in a period of feeling nostalgic about things, it kind of distorts reality and you don't see things for what they really are, or you don't see things as clearly as you do in hindsight. So when you're nostalgic, it's like everything looks beautiful and everything's amazing because you don't have it anymore, whatever it is you're feeling nostalgic about. But then when you like actually look back and you think about things, it's like, wait, was that really how it was, or was I just missing it? So yeah, I'm liking that dialogue and imagery, and I'm excited to see where this goes. Okay, you guys, I am all done with In a Holidays. I did have to bring it back to the library, so I don't have the physical book with me right now, but I promise I did finish it. It was so good. Even though I liked it, I do have a couple of critiques for it, so I'm going to go through sort of like my notes that I wrote about it while I was reading it. Okay, so my overall rating for it is like a 3.75. I hate that on Goodreads you can't give half stars or like quarter stars, so I did give it a 4 on Goodreads, but it was more of like a little bit underneath a 4 for me, like a 3.5 to 3.75. A lot of the time I will rate a book based off of how much I enjoyed it while I was reading it. So sometimes a 5-star for me isn't necessarily like the most amazing book ever written, but I just had such a good time while I was reading it. But even if I enjoy a book, if there are obvious little like issues that I have with it or plot holes, that is going to knock my score down a bit. So don't think that I didn't enjoy it based off of my score, but I did have a couple of little tweaks that I would give it if I were the author. So the story sort of begins with a love triangle, and you think that this love triangle is like an important part of the plot because it's literally on the dust jacket. Like, it talks about there being 2 brothers as kind of like the love interest. So that's what I was under the impression of. And when the book starts, we see her have sort of a romantic interaction with one of the brothers, but then she reveals that she's always been in love with the other brother, so it's like a really awkward situation. But even with all of that, the love triangle is literally pointless. Like, she only likes one of the brothers, and because it's a time loop situation where she repeats the same day over and over again, nobody remembers anything except for her. So she had this awkward interaction with one brother, she likes the other brother. In the first reality, yes, that would be awkward, but then the day starts over and she gets to make her choices differently, so she doesn't ever have that romantic interaction with the first brother, and then she can just like the brother that she's always liked. I don't know if that makes sense, but it was like the love triangle was completely pointless because we only focus on one brother the whole book. So I don't really know why it was marketed that way, and the plot literally has nothing to do with the one brother. Like, he's kind of just this side character, and it makes me sad for him because he has feelings for the main girl, and so does the other brother. Like, they both like her. It's definitely a Edward, Bella, Jacob kind of situation, but just like with Twilight, where Bella clearly always just has eyes for Edward, this main girl only has eyes for one of the brothers. So the other one is just like pointless. Like I was like, why is this even part of the plot? I didn't really think that that was necessary. Second of all, I also think that the time travel, time loop aspect was also incredibly unnecessary. I think that it should have just been like a Christmas love story, because in a time loop movie or book, I think that the main character should have to like repeat that day and be in that time loop multiple times. In this book, she literally only repeats the same day like 3 times. So she figures out pretty quickly what's going on, but then it doesn't continue to happen. Like you think she's gonna keep restarting this day until she gets it right, which is sort of what happens, but she doesn't have to restart it that much. She literally only does it 3 times. So I just think that the time loop part of it was kind of stupid. Like I think that she should have had to be stuck in it for like a long time. And I kind of like in time travel, time loop stories, how the main character slowly starts to like literally go insane, because it's like, what am I doing? Why am I stuck here? And you can see our main character kind of teetering with those realizations, but she doesn't have to repeat the same day very much. So it's like, is it a time loop, or did she just get the opportunity to correct a mistake? Which now it's just like, I don't know. It's unrealistic. Obviously, it's unrealistic to begin with. It's a story about a freaking time loop, but the story isn't really about a time loop. So it's just like, I don't know, it like made me angry. And then that kind of leads into my next issue that I have with it, is like there were too many issues that were just resolved way too easily. Like her repeating this day a few times allowed her to see like what she really wants and like how she wants to present herself to the world. That way she can kind of like get the things that she wants. But like that's really it. There's nothing deeper to it. She doesn't really learn more about like the world or herself. She's just like, oh, I always liked this brother, so when I repeat this day, I'm gonna go for him instead of the other one. And I don't know, I just thought that that made me like not really believe in the love story that much. And then I also, like I said, I just thought that the time loop was like pointless. But yeah, with the romance, like the central romance with the main girl and the one brother that she's interested in, I just feel like all of their little miscommunications were resolved way too easily, and the love story came about way too easily. Like it was almost like they didn't even have to try. And I'm not only a fan of slow burns. Like I do like when two people are like, oh, I really like this person, like I want to be with them. I like that, but I don't like when it just happens instantly. And something that was kind of weird about the relationship, which I saw some other people say this in the Goodreads reviews, was that the brother that she's interested in was like, oh, you like me? I never saw you as an option. Now I like you too. Like it was just like, do you really like her, or are you just saying that because like she's interested in you and now you see her as somebody that you could pursue? Like, I don't know, it just wasn't really that romantic to me. I did like their love story. There was a lot of like steaminess that I liked, and I do think that they were both sweet to each other. I think that they both had likable characteristics, so I could see why they fell in love with each other. I just wanted it to be a little bit more believable. This was like a 300-page book, so I do think it was long enough to establish all of that and to have better conflict with resolution, but it was just done super quick and choppy. And then with all of those issues being resolved too easily, it kind of became like the central focus of the story was the love story more than anything else. And something that I was enjoying about it is it was like she was stuck in this same day, repeating the same day over and over again until she can figure out like what kind of life she actually wants to live. But then it sort of turned into like, once you end up with the right guy, everything works out for you. And I don't like that trope, because I do feel like it sets unrealistic expectations for readers that like, when you fall in love, you get everything that you wanted, or once you fall in love, then you'll be happy. And I just like a book where like our main character is like unhappy, not living the life that they want to live, and then they figure all of that out as they're falling in love with someone, or they fall in love with someone later. So it's like they become happy first and then they meet someone and then they're even happier. I don't know, I just don't like the trope of like, oh, when you meet the right person, then you'll have it all. Like I feel like you should have it all and then you meet the right person, you know? Or they happen simultaneously, but one is not necessarily more important than the other. So yeah, I did still really enjoy it. Those were just kind of like reasons why my score went down a little bit and why I kind of had some issues with the plot. But I did like the imagery, I liked the metaphors, kind of like I said earlier, I liked the talks about nostalgia and how things are different when you think about it in hindsight. I did really like all of the characters a lot. There are a lot of characters, but they all have a lot of little idiosyncrasies that make them very unique. So I feel like they were easy to remember once you were a couple chapters in. Even though it was a book that wasn't super long, I do feel like the characters were established really well. So that was something that the authors did good on. And then I really liked the relatability of the main character being 26 and like not having her life completely figured out yet, because I'm 25 and like I'm still getting my bachelor's degree. I'm still kind of trying to find my way in the world. And I like when I read a book about a character that is around my age or even older than me that is kind of still finding their way in the world, and instead of it being like this 19-year-old that just like has it all, because that's not realistic. So I did like the relatability of our female main character. So overall, I gave the plot 3 stars because of those little issues that I had with it. I gave the romance 4 out of 5 stars because I did really like the romance. I just wish that it would have started on a more romantic note. The spice I would give like 3.5 out of 5 because it is a spicy book. There's a lot of steaminess, there's a lot of yearning. I really loved that. And then the 2 characters are intimate with each other quite a few times. They have like some leading up to it and then some actual intimacy, but I didn't think that it was too much. Like I feel like it was pretty tasteful. But if you're somebody that's a little bit squeamish about love in a romance book, then just know that this does have some elements of that. But overall, that is why this got a 3.75-ish score. And I do recommend this book if you like romance. I recommend it if you like a friends to lovers dynamic. And I recommend it if you like Christmas, because obviously this is a book centered around the Christmas holiday. I wouldn't recommend it if you're super into fantasy and science fiction, because the time travel and time loop aspect is like almost irrelevant in it. It's like a very small portion of the book, even though that's what the book is supposedly about. So I wouldn't recommend it for y'all that are into that. And I also wouldn't recommend it for anybody that likes a love triangle, because it's very obvious from the beginning that our main character likes one person. She like made a mistake and she has an interest in this person, but she really, really, really loves one person. So the love triangle is null and void. But I hope that you guys enjoyed this Christmas vlog. I had a really fun time making it, and I'm so excited to go into the new year and read all of my winter hopefuls and my spring hopefuls, which I'll be dropping within the next couple of months. I also am going to be posting my 2025 year in review reading wrap up on New Year's, so stay tuned for that if you want to see what I read this year. I made my 2025 reading wrap up in November, so I hadn't finished this book yet. I hadn't finished Book Lovers by Emily Henry, and then I have another book that I'm working on right now. So when I made that video, my year in review contained 17 books that I read, but I actually read 20 books this year. If you want to be super up to date with what I'm reading and exactly where I'm at, you can follow me on Goodreads and Instagram and TikTok. I will link all of that below at my link tree. If not, then stay here and subscribe to my YouTube channel, where I post more vlogs like this one and other fun bookish content. Thank you guys so much for being with me throughout this year. I've had so much fun being on BookTube with you, and I can't wait for many more videos to come. Merry Christmas!